that help anyone in the community to help with the assistance of Medi-Cal, Cover California, any food stamps. We also offer WIC program. We have transportation services for anyone who, needs a ride to their appointments. We also have food distributions. We have two locations, one in San Marcos and Oceanside. Right now, it has definitely been a great help to those in need, especially with the pandemic. Food disparities has been, a rise, so it has definitely helped a lot of people. We also offer a volunteer internship program, which is the program that I oversee. And then we also have other community programs such as the Golden Years program, which my colleague Isaias will be talking to you about shortly.
Thank you, Janet, for providing that background on TrueCare. So now let's move on to the program itself and really why we're here today. Before we start, I just want to provide some background. After doing some research, the data just really speaks for itself that over 2 million adults age 65 and older suffer from some form of depression. And out of those same adults, 60% know little to nothing about treatment and coping strategies. So here at TrueCare, we understand the growing need of mental health services, which is why we continue to invest in impacted programs such as the Golden Years Group. As you can see here is a picture of the group during one of their last in-person gatherings in February of 2020. Before we jump into today's discussion, I just want to provide some background as to the history of the Golden Years Group and how it originated here at TrueCare. So the Golden Years Group here. The group has been our longest-lasting community-based program here at TrueCare. It is a grant-funded program through the County of San Diego Health and Human Services Agency, and it has been here at TrueCare, a part of the TrueCare family for more than 10 years. The group itself focuses on socialization and mental health topics, but again, it's open to a variety of educational topics, but our emphasis is really the mental health of our older adult population. It is open to the patients and community members. So what does that mean? It means that you do not have to be a TrueCare patient in order to be part of the Golden Years Group. The ages that we have of the members range between 45 and 75. As of right now, the group is predominantly Hispanic population, so that's why we tailor it as a Hispanic social support group. So all backgrounds are welcome, but the majority of the group members are Hispanic adults at this time. And again, group members continue to return to the group, not just for the socialization and the mental health education topics that are discussed, but really for what the group stands for and what it has built and what it is today based on what it has built over the past 10 years. So moving forward to what the group looked like pre-pandemic. So in pre-pandemic, the group was filled, we met weekly. It was 3 hours as a social support group that we met on site here at a San Marcos location. It included creative arts and crafts, community field trips, fitness classes, guest speakers, and educational workshops. More so, it also included family celebrations where members of the group not only got to engage with each other, but they were able to bring their families to special events. For example, some community field trips that we would take, we took one time a trip to the Botanical Gardens in San Diego. And what this taught us was, yes, the group was excited to be able to go out with their social support group members, but what they shared with us was that they enjoyed that we were taking them in public transportation because most of them did not know how to use public transportation, and that was the way in which we got to the Botanical Gardens. And so hearing them say, oh, thank you so much for providing this activity, this event for us, because now I know how to use public transportation, which is something that was super impactful and showing that even the smallest things that we think everyone knows how to do, for our older adults, it's something that they are just now learning, right? When it comes to the fitness classes, we tailored it to both those who were able to are more mobile and those who were wheelchair bound. We do have one member who is wheelchair bound, so we provided different fitness classes ranging from Zumba to chair yoga. Regarding our educational workshops, the group enjoys learning about an array of topics. So again, the group is fundamentally based on mental health, but that does not mean that we just strictly provide mental health topics. It ranges from chronic diseases to fun arts and crafts activities to really anything in between. When it comes to the family celebrations, as you could see here in the picture to the right, it's a picture of when they had their intergenerational games. And so during this event, we encourage the participants of the group to bring their friends and families to this event so that they could not only communicate and enjoy each other's presence with the group members, but also their family members. And as you can see, the smile speaks for themselves, right? So this is something that the group was very fond of, and it's something that that we did at the pre-pandemic, that socialization together in unison without social distancing, really. So the Golden Years Group not only offers the members a variety of activities, but one of the most important aspects of the group is a support system that the members gain from attending the group. So this support system that the group is based off of, having a support group program like the Golden Years Group is important because it helps reduce the feelings of loneliness and isolation, prevent depression, create long-lasting friendships, have this emotional support system, and have a safe space for them to express themselves. Most of the time, the older population tends to be isolated, or they are a hard-to-reach population, and so providing a space where they could come together and really engage with one another, it's something that's so impactful for them. And this is especially important during a pandemic where isolation and feelings of depression can increase. So moving on to COVID-19 and the group. So like many of us, I'm sure we had to shift our focus, shift our areas of work in order to accommodate the quarantine restrictions and really just what we had to abide by, right, to keep each other safe. So in February of 2020, the group paused. And so what did that mean? That meant that the group was no longer meeting in person, and we needed to stop to really try to figure out, okay, what is it that we need to do in order to continue this group? So between March and May of 2020, the group did not meet. So we were not meeting in person, but still the efforts were there in order to help them stay connected. So what did True Care do? So the group, again, did not meet, but we shifted our focus to phone calling the members of the group to keep them engaged and to provide them with really any updates regarding True Care resources and community resources. During this time period, a lot of the members shared their worries and concerns about COVID-19 pandemic. They felt alone and isolated, but the phone calls really helped the process. It really helped them process the situation as well as where we were living in today's age. So fast forward to June of 2020, we launched our first virtual meeting. And the first launch of the first meeting, as you can see here is picture there, we had 3 members show up, right? And so quick background, pre-pandemic, we had members of the group who would join, and we would have 15 to 20 members join in person. And so now when we did virtual, my hope was to get that same number to join, right? But again, when we first launched, it was just those 3 members who joined. And so next, I will discuss the challenges that I faced when launching an online support group for the older adult population. So the challenges of an online group. So for starters is really raising awareness. And so what does that mean? So getting the information to the appropriate audiences, and the information must be clear and concise. And for many of us that work in the CVO sectors, we know how difficult it can be to spread awareness on a program, or let alone just resources that are available to the community. One of the initial challenges I faced was raising awareness on a virtual group to a population that is categorized as a hard-to-reach population. So the one advantage I had was being able to contact them directly via phone. Before, we would print out flyers and we would display them in our lobby at our various health centers. But with telehealth in place, we were not seeing as many patients in person. So how can I advertise this online support group to a population that is comfortable receiving information in person and face-to-face, that population being our older adults? So at this point, I thought I had it all figured out, right? I would call the members of the group, which I was doing between March and May, and I would gain their trust, and I would tell them, okay, we're launching Zoom, so let's join via Zoom now. So that unfortunately was not the case, as their turnout was 3 members who joined. As I was engaging with the members, I soon realized that they were not sold on the idea of joining a virtual gathering, which brought me to my next challenge of rebuilding the members' trust. And so again, the importance on asking the right questions to the members of the group, and the openness of receiving feedback from the group members as to why it is that they're not joining. Initially, my thought was that, well, they didn't trust the program, or they thought that the group was over because we had a hiatus between March and May. But again, through this phone call process that I had with the members, I got more information from them. I was open to receiving feedback, and they shared with me that they didn't trust the technology itself. And so that's something that was new to me, because, again, we had to quickly adapt to the online platform here at work. But to them, it was something that was so foreign to them. And so they needed to relearn and really ultimately learn what it meant to meet virtually. Continuing on to our challenges, I experienced some technological barriers with the members. And so what did this mean? So this meant I needed to fully first understand the platform or the application that I was using. So in this case, it was a Zoom platform. And I also needed to understand the availability of IT equipment and the internet that the group members had. So again, prior to the pandemic, I had heard of Zoom before, but again, I only used it a handful of times while I was at the university. So I myself was not versed in Zoom. So how could I expect a population who probably has never even heard of Zoom to know how to use it? So I knew that in order to best explain the Zoom platform to the members of the group, I had to understand the platform myself. So I took it upon myself, and I encourage all of you to know the application you're using inside and out in order to best know its functions that it has and ultimately the limitations that it has. So when it comes to launching this online group, at the minimum, the participants I knew had to have some sort of smart device, either it be a phone, a tablet, a computer, and access to the internet. So in my head, okay, well, most individuals have all of that, right? But for a majority of the group members, they had internet, but they didn't have access to smart devices or didn't know how to join. For others, they had both. They had the technology and they had the internet, but they were unable to join because they didn't understand the IT jargon I was dictating to them over the phone, which brings me to the next barrier, the language barrier. So this term that I'm using, IT jargon, really comes down to when I'm talking to them over the phone and I ask them, open the App Store, download the Zoom application, they were lost and they didn't understand what I was trying to say to them. And it really just felt like the picture that's depicted here. So I felt like I was doing my best to convey what I was trying to say, but there was a wall between us, right? And they didn't understand what I was talking to them about. So again, it was something that I needed to learn, right? How can I overcome this? How can I express to them or explain to them what I'm trying to say? So the importance of using descriptive language to help the members better understand. So moving forward to how to overcome these challenges, right? So for starters, the first challenge I needed to overcome was the raising awareness, right? So the lack of the group members not knowing what Zoom is, what it is about, and so I really leveraged all of my resources. And in this case, the resources that I had was the 3 members that joined originally. And so my theory was this domino effect of awareness. So Again, the challenge of raising awareness was overcome by leveraging the members who attended the initial group, which was just 3 members. So I asked them if they could help me spread awareness on the online group, and most of the members have been a part of the group for those 10 plus years that it has been embedded here at TrueCare. And they knew each other and they trusted each other, and so by nature we are more inclined to receive and accept information from people who we trust and build a strong relationship with. Now, building the members' trust not only took time, but I knew that it was not all up to me, right? I need to leverage those resources. But through time and through efforts, it slowly but surely became a more well-known program, and then we were able to launch with a more impactful group. The other thing was the challenge of asking the members for feedback. So that's something that I needed to learn. So at first I didn't understand what they weren't getting, and so I needed to figure out the why, right? The why is not connecting. So having open lines of communications with your group members is crucial and vital. There's always room for improvement, and we all know that, and so that's something that I needed to make sure that I was open to. Excuse me. So again, rebuilding the trust took time, right? The group members were uncertain as to where the clinic stood with the group, as they had been on pause from March to May. And so although I had constant communication with them throughout the entire time, the members needed to know that they were being heard. So I took the time to call each one of the members who did not show up and receive that feedback, which is that overcoming the second challenge. To receive that feedback and to ask them why it is that they could not join. This might not be feasible for all groups, because I know it might be some other CBOs may have groups that have more members than the Golden Years group. So I encourage you all to consider maybe creating a survey or a poll that can be sent out to the various members. And so when I did obtain the feedback, most of the feedback received was regarding the challenges of using the Zoom application, which led me to overcoming the technological barriers that existed. So moving on to the technological barriers. So the first is really the importance of having options. And when I dived into Zoom and all its capabilities, I realized that I had a video capability and an audio capability. The technological barriers that the members had was that they did not want to use a Zoom code, as some found it difficult to follow. So as we all know, when we're invited to a Zoom meeting, we get sent the Zoom code and a passcode. So most of them don't know what to do with that. And I needed to figure out what other options they have. And so really the importance of having options for them was something that was crucial. So they were adamant in wanting to join the group, so I offered them the option to join via audio. And so what did that mean for me? I had to create a educational material that was easy for them to use so that they could log on. And that's really what sprouted the creation of the login guide that I call, which Janet will be posting in the chat, and I know it's also a document that is embedded in her profile. So if you guys want to take a look at that login guide. And so this login guide was just a very easy, user-friendly visual guide as to how you can join via audio only. And so today we have 3 members who joined via audio only, and the rest joined via video capability. And again, the next barrier that I had to overcome is now I have 2 different groups, right? So it's still one group, but half of the members join via audio capability, and the other half join via video capability. So I have to make sure that the material that I prepare for them is suitable for both parties. For those who join via video, they either know how to use the Zoom or have a family member who could help them out join the Zoom. For those who join via audio, again, I created this user-friendly phone login guide so that they could follow, so they can join the group every week. And again, more specifically, I had to learn how to adapt. And so creating the material that was educational and easy to follow was something that was crucial for this. And then the last point was modifying the presentation material. And so what that meant is creating material that benefited both the video and the audio members. So, for example, we have let's say a partner comes in to give a presentation, and they share with me the slides. Oh, here you go, Isaias. Can you please share with your members of the group? So for those who join via audio, what I ask for the presenter to do is just something as simple as number the pages on the presentation, so that when they are on the presentation via Zoom, the presenter can be, okay, now we're moving on to page 5. And so what that tells those who are joining just via audio is, okay, well, let's turn to page 5 because that's where we are on the presentation. So creating different minor things and minor modifications to presentations can make a big impact when having a group who has a split audience with video and audio capability. So what does that group look like today? So the group today, just a quick disclaimer, excuse the typo, the first. So the first online group we launched in June of 2020, right? And so what does that look like? It's a weekly 2-hour support group. So before it used to be weekly 3 hours in person, but now it's weekly 2 hours online. And so as you could see here, we have the image with Dr. Rodriguez, who is holding an image of her hand. And so Dr. Rodriguez, over the past year, she has given the group members art therapy classes. And it's something that it has been super easy to implement in the group because Dr. Rodriguez does a great job at voicing the direction. So as you could see, we have 3 members who join via phone audio. And so that's why those phone icons are there, because they can't see the Dr. Rodriguez or the other members, but they could hear each other. So Dr. Rodriguez, again, does a great job of explaining and really over describing the processes that needs to be done in order to be able to provide that feedback. Moving on to the enrichment workshops that we have for the group. So what I have found was that being a virtual group, I was able to invite more parties in different sectors to present to the group. So the one good thing about the Zoom application is that it's very user-friendly, and you could do it at the convenience of your own desk, right? So the partners don't have to drive to you, don't have to drive to a different location, and so it saves time in terms of travel, and then so the group is able to have a wide variety of classes. So just to name a few, they had an emergency preparedness series from the American Red Cross, mental health stigma class. That one was part of the healthier living classes that the county hosts, and so they did one on the chronic conditions and support system and self-care, such as here we have the art therapy classes with Dr. Rodriguez. The group today also receives care packages, and so what those care packages involved is we sent out material via USPS, and the group members receive anything from groceries to craft kits to activities and coloring books. And that's just a way for us to show them, to really just appreciate them for continuing to be part of the group, right, and to connecting them to the resources that we have and providing that opportunity for them to still feel connected in a world where we're not able to meet in person just yet, especially for the older adult population. As we know, they're a high-risk population for the COVID-19, and so we want to make sure that they're protected, but we also want to make sure that they're cared for and that they're engaged and they still keep continuing to attend the group. And so today, the group, I'm happy to say that during the COVID-19 switch to the online group, we have 8 to 12 members who attend the group regularly. It's still not our I guess, pre-pandemic, the 15 to 20 who used to attend in person, but 8 to 12 is better than the 3 that we initially started. So I'm very happy to share that the group members are now more inclined to join the group, that our efforts that we made for all those modifications really helped out and really encouraged the groups to attend. So plans for the future for the group. So the first is just seeking opportunities for additional support in technology advancements, digital literacy workshops, expand the current group that we have, and add and bridge out to different cities. So our current group, again, just to recap, it's located in San Marcos, but our plans is to expand in Oceanside and then to share some love to our Riverside area, which with our health center in Paris. And really the technological advancements and the digital literacy workshops comes down to this is something that the older population, I realize, needs help more than probably any other population in terms of how we could best educate them on the technologies that they use and that they are using, right? And so that's something that I want to continue regardless if the group is in person or not. That's something that I think it's valuable for them to know and to understand. So that's something that I would like to add and show and provide more support to the group members. So what does 2022 look like? And so in 2022, our plans are to pilot a hybrid group model. And so the hybrid group model is a mixture of in-person and Zoom group. So as the vaccines and the boosters start rolling out, hopeful that the restrictions with meeting in groups and socializing will be eased up. And if they are and the groups are comfortable and the group members are comfortable with meeting in person, then we would launch a hybrid group model. And so what does that mean is, let's say some of them want to start meeting in person, but the other ones are still a little hesitant because of the current situation that we're in. So our plan is to make sure to have that group be both in person and via Zoom. So we're looking forward to it and definitely applying for what we learned for launching an online group and implementing it into a hybrid model. And really just to sum up, I want to recap the lessons learned that I will start implementing if the hybrid model were to start. So the first one really is the trusted messengers, right? So you need to have a group of people who is able to really just sell what you're trying to offer to the community. And in this case, it was those 3 members who joined virtually the first time who helped me really get the other members on board and be like, hey, like this is going to work. We're still there. We're still connected. We may not be in person, but we have the ability to see each other and still speak to each other. And then also the importance of feedback, right? So at the beginning, I didn't know why it wasn't working. I didn't know why the 15 to 20 members didn't join. I thought I had it all figured out. I'd be like, oh, perfect. I'll just create a Zoom link and I'll send it to them, and then it's that simple. But through that process of receiving feedback from them was something that I realized that it was important for them. And then really having options to offer. So one option may not work for one group, but it may work for another. So the option in this case is we're having video capability and audio capability. So people are more inclined to join if they're familiar with what they're doing. And so in this case, those who join via audio aren't comfortable using the Zoom application or me sending them the code and the passcode so that they could join the Zoom application, but they are comfortable dialing a number. And so that's where the audio capability comes in. They're able to dial in and still participate in the group. And really moving forward to material that is tailored to a group. Again, tailoring the material in order to please both audiences. So something as simple as numbering the presentations was something so vital for the group members so that they could still feel connected even though they weren't part of the video process. And lastly, just trust the process. The road may be long to developing a program or to really break down any online disparities that you may come across for the older adult population, but at the end of the day, it will be worth the journey. It was stressful. I'm not going to say that it was just one day I figured it out and it was all solved. It was definitely a process, but it was a process that I learned a lot myself, and And I'm grateful that I took the time to do it. And it really just shines light to the group members. And with that, I just wanted to share a personal testimony from one of our group members. And so pictured here is La Señora Josefina Garcia, and so she's part of the Golden Years members and has been part of the group for more than 10 years. And so she just wanted to share that the virtual classes have helped her mentally by giving her a sense of peace in what is our new normal. So when the COVID pandemic first started and the group was stopped in person, I was scared because I thought it was going to be the end of the golden years. Thanks to technology and TrueCare, we were able to start the group virtually. This has put me at ease and has given me back some happiness. Tuesdays are a very special day for me because I'm able to connect with the other members and share my personal experiences. And so again, this is just one of many testimonies from the participants of the Golden Years group. And so I wish I could share all of it here with you guys, but it is something that I just wanted to provide this for you guys, and hopefully it helps you understand a little bit more about the Golden Years group and where we were back then and where we are now. But before we jump into the Q&A session, I just want to just friendly reminder that feel free to input your questions if you have any into the feedback loop chat, or feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like and ask your question, and Janet will be sure to monitor that.
Isaias, you have a question, and the question is, are these groups suitable for people living with dementia or memory loss?
Yeah, so the group, again, is open to all. There's no requirement as to what a person must have or must not have in order to join. So we do have members who have some sort of dementia or have suffered or are suffering from it. The only limitation I could see there that I have seen in the group is that what we try to do is that the group is consistent in the sense that it's every Tuesday from 10 to 12. And so hopefully that helps the members remember that that's when it is. But there are times where I've had those individuals who have progressive dementia who forget about the group. And so I would call them afterwards just to check in on them. And they're like, oh man, I forgot that the group was today. So it is open to all, but that is one barrier that I do see with the members who do have dementia. And also, I did want to add, we do have a flyer for the Golden Years group. So if you do know of anyone who may benefit from the group, again, it's free to the community, and you don't have to be a TrueCare patient to join. We do have a flyer that you guys can share to your network. Janet also has it in her profile on the Live Well application, and she'll also be dropping in some documents later today.
Just wanted to add, so both flyers that Isaias mentioned, they're actually on this session. So if you scroll down under the description, there should be a file section, and you should be able to download both files.
Thank you, Janet. And again, feel free to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question or a comment, or feel free to embed it into the chat as well.
Another question, so by Pam. So the question is, did you encounter any members who did not have devices and/or internet and could not afford them? If so, were you able to address that challenge?
So when it came to technological limitations in terms of devices, that's something that we're continually working on, right? So reaching out to different organizations to see if they could provide some type of tablets or smart device. And we also, TrueCare is actively, or has a grant department who's actively searching for grants to help support our current programs. And so we don't want to say no to a member. So we're one of those organizations who we're going to say yes, and then we're going to figure it out. But yes, in terms of the limitations, we have experienced members who don't have access to...
Okay, we're 15 minutes out. I have some coming up with questions?
Yes. Thank you, Julie. Um, so we have experienced that before, but it's something that what I opted to do was because I didn't have a solution right then and there, I would still send them material through our USPS mail. So we would still keep them engaged by being able to send them the material that we were doing in class, even though they weren't actively there to participate. They could still review the material and know what happened during that class.
Also, I just wanted to mention I will go ahead and drop Isaias and myself contact information so that if you have any questions afterwards or if anything pops, you're more than welcome to connect with us. So I'll go ahead and do that on the chat.
But yes, does anyone have any last minute questions, or like Janet mentioned, if you don't have a question at this time, but you would like to ask a question in the future, feel free to send us an email, and Janet will be sure to include our contact information.
One last question. Are you planning to go back in person? I'm sorry if I missed it.
Yeah, so thank you for the question. So our plan is, yes, to go back in person eventually, but I want to make sure that the group members are ready. So through this process, I learned the importance of receiving feedback from the group members. And so now any major decision that is made regarding something that's going to impact them, I do my best to try to ask them what their thoughts are. And so we did have a discussion regarding in-person gatherings. And so it was really just split 50-50 down the middle. Some of them were ready, others are still not ready, even though they're vaccinated and have their boosters, and I totally understand why, and we respect that decision. So that's why we want to launch, hopefully in 2022, a hybrid model where it includes both an in-person and a virtual option for those who would still like to join. Okay, so thank you so much for your guys' time and for joining this session today. Again, just to recap, if you do have any follow-up questions, feel free to send Janet or myself an email as to what it is that you guys are inquiring about. And I guess the best gift I can give you guys right now is the gift of time. So, I hope you guys all enjoy the rest of the Live Well sessions. And thank you all again for joining us today.